Hello and welcome back to another edition of Raw out of 10 on the Wrestle Debates. And today it was called Grudge Night or something like that. So we're going to settle a few grudges tonight and I can't wait. It's time to settle some grudges. So the show started off with MVP's VIP Lounge. First he welcomes out Dolph Ziggler who goes on about his promos, his boring promos. Then McIntyre comes out. And then he goes all serious, saying how Drew's mucked everything up, saying how Dolph's mucked everything up for him. And then Dolph starts mimicking him. Drew tells him to shut up. He punches him. That's about the segment over. They put Drew over as a badass and made him a bit more serious than just saying Claymore Country, which I didn't mind at all. And it really doesn't give much hope for Dolph. He just looks like a bit of a git. But overall, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Next up, we got the Viking Raiders versus Andrade and Angel Gaza in a tag team match. Elimination as well. So the first fall went to Andrade and Gaza, who were working quite well. And Eric went out, I believe. Then Andrade went out. However, just when the Viking Raiders looked like they were about to win, Andrade got up and put Gaza's feet on the ropes to break the count. And then Gaza hit his finisher to seal the win for the Andrade and Gaza. And it means they'll be going to Extreme Rules, I guess, to face the Street Profits. This is good news in my opinion. Didn't want to see Profits v Raiders again. And it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between Andrade and Gaza. 6.5 out of 10. Backstage, Ruby Riott is being interviewed by Sarah Scriber before the Iconics turn up and do their stuff on her again. Then Bianca Belair shows up and she says that she's teamed with Ruby Riott. And then we go into the match and Belair knocks Royce off the apron at the end of the match, pins Kay for a 2 count, more back and forth between all 4 superstars as Riott takes Royce down on the floor and Belair ends up hitting the KOD, which is pretty sweet, for the pin to get the fairly quick win. Overall, I'm going to give this a 6.75 out of 10. This was brilliant and a great way to get Bianca Belair back on telly. Then we got our 24/7 segment Backstage where R-Truth, Alexander, Ricochet and the Ninjas have a standoff. And then it was announced that R-Truth is fighting Randy Orton later in the show, which isn't too brilliant, but there we are. Back from the break, Tozawa and R-Truth come down to the ring for a 24/7 championship match. However, Shayna Baszler appeared, and then she beat up a couple of ninjas. Tozawa and Truth ran away. She cut a promo saying how she was fed up of waiting. This wasn't the way to return Shayna Baszler. Why is she getting involved in a 24/7 championship thing? No one challenged her. Just a bit naff, really. 6.25 out of 10. Start, we got Seth Rollins coming out to the ring, going on about how stupid the eye for an eye match was, before Kevin Owens eventually interrupted. And then Rollins set Murphy on him. However, Aleister Black came down to make the save, and we got Murphy v Aleister Black. This was a pretty long match. Black nailed a huge black mass, sending Murphy to the mat. However, Black covered Rollins and broke the pin up for the disqualification. Not going to grade this match, but it was pretty decent. I'm going to grade the whole segment overall, because Owens then fought Seth Rollins, and this was a really long match. There was multiple bits where Black, Dominic, Mysterio were preventing Rollins from escaping, and Murphy wasn't there because obviously he'd been hit by the black mass. But anyway, towards the end of the match, Rollins blinded Kevin Owens. However, he was kept on getting distracted by Mysterio, Dominic, Black and whoever else. And then eventually Owens got back up, hit the stunner for the 1-2-3. That's match over. Overall, I'm going to give this a 6.25 out of 10. Just didn't really feel it, to be honest. I mean, I think this went too long. It went on for ages, and I was just wanting it to be over by the end of it. But there we are. Backstage, Big Show asked Ric Flair if he's willing to give up his friendship so Orton can be the Legend Killer. Then back from the break, we got a package on the Legend Killer Randy Orton before R-Truth came out for the match against Randy Orton. The bell ring and Truth stalls some, still with his title around his waist. Truth goes to talk to Flair, but Orton comes from behind. Truth baited Orton in as he fights back. Then he went for the scissor kick, but Orton dodged it and hit the RKO in a matter of minutes. I'm giving Randy Orton here a 6.25 out of 10. After the match, Big Show challenged him. Orton challenged Big Show to an unsanctioned match next week, which we're getting, but I just didn't think this was very suited to it. He shouldn't really be facing a challenger like R-Truth. It should be a bit more serious than that. But there we are. Once again, we got MVP and Lashley approaching Ricochet and Alexander backstage, wanting them to join MVP's little crew. Once again, they decline. Then Lashley said he's confident about his match with Ricochet and he was going to hurt him, putting him in the trainer's room. Then they worked off. Then we caught up with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre said a couple of words. Then there was a big brawl with Dolph Ziggler. And we cut away when we got to Ricochet v Lashley. This was a pretty dominant win for Lashley. Towards the end of the match, Ricochet flied back into Lashley with an elbow, but Lashley caught him and hit him with a full Nelson and ragdolled him for the win. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. I mean, what isn't is Lashley doing anymore? Why is he squashing Ricochet like that? I guess you want to make Lashley a star, but not at the expense of Ricochet, surely. After the match, Lashley beats down Alexander as well for some reason. Then we went to the women's tag team match between the Kabuki Warriors and Banks and Bayley. What a match this was. There was just so many near falls and 4 great wrestlers. I mean, what more did you expect? Towards the end of the match, it looked like Sane and Oscar won it after there were more and more back and forth counters between Banks and Oscar in the middle of the ring. Oscar ended up dropping Banks with a big kick to the face. Sane goes to the top and hits the insane elbow on Bank. She covered for the win, but Bayley breaks it up. Oscar tries to attack Bayley on the floor, but Bayley drops her with a shot to the face, putting her down on the floor. Sane attacks Bayley at ringside, but then Sane goes back to the top and nails Banks with a flying forearm, and then with an Alabama slam. Sane then charges at Banks again with a low clothesline, but she goes right into the Bank statement and she taps out. What a match. 7 out of 10. This was just brilliant. Overall, this episode of Raw is getting a 6.5 out of 10. There were some really good parts of the show, like this segment. But most of it, or not most of it, some of it was just rubbish. Like, why is R-Truth facing Randy Orton? I mean, it's just a very inconsistent show like we're used to with Raw at the moment. But I thought the goods were really good, so I'll bump it up from a 6.25 to 6.5 out of 10. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter for daily wrestling news. Let me know what you thought about Raw in the comments below, and subscribe to my other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.